My girlfriend Linda's first love lost his memory. His memories are stuck back when he and Linda were madly in love. To help him recover, Linda brought him home. Linda told me, Michael, Evan doesn't remember anything. He only remembers me. He's got no one else but me now. I watched them passionately kiss on the balcony, entwined on the living room sofa. I quietly closed the door and crossed another day off the calendar. Only half a month left before I leave. If Evan's memory only has her, then my memories can have everything except her. When I got off the plane, the weather wasn't good. It was snowing lightly. The early winter chill was biting. At the airport exit, I didn't see that familiar figure. I was a little anxious since I hadn't been able to reach Linda since the day before yesterday. Calls went unanswered, texts not replied to. Worse, when I called her number frantically, I got a dreaded message. The person you are calling is on another call. I feared something had happened to her. So, I rushed through my business, skipped the host's dinner invitation, and rescheduled my flight back. I even sent her the flight details. The conversation was empty, stuck at the time of my last message. Felt like maybe she never even existed. As soon as I got into a cab, I rushed home. In the cab, my best friend Joshua texted me. Michael, you're back? I quickly replied, asking him, Joshua, do you know what's up with Linda? Did something happen to her? The past few days I couldn't eat or sleep well, my mind racing. Unable to reach her, I imagined all sorts of terrible scenarios. Maybe she got blackout drunk? A huge issue at work? Car accident? Or even something unimaginable. We've been together for 5 years, living together for 2. She's always been respectful and would tell me about her day to day. Even for work drinks, she'd let me know in advance. Worried about me eating alone, she'd order takeout ahead of time. This sudden silence is a first. I even thought about calling the police, but being out of town and clueless about the situation, I was scared it would be a huge misunderstanding. I had no choice but to ask my best friend to help. You sounded so desperate on the phone. I thought something serious happened, Joshua said sarcastically. Michael, you know Linda has a childhood friend, Evan, right? My heart skipped a beat. I knew about Evan. Shortly after Linda and I got together, she confessed she had a past love, a childhood sweetheart. They dated in high school, fell even deeper in college, promised eternity. But eventually their love lost to money and power. Evan married a rich girl, entering high society. That's life. Everyone has crushes or unrequited loves growing up. Linda was honest with me about it. Evan got into a car accident and lost his memory, Joshua told me. Apparently, his memories are stuck back when he was with Linda. I couldn't help but clutch my chest as a dull pain spread. My tongue felt numb as if poisoned, making my voice tremble. What's this got to do with Linda? I asked. Even if Evan had an accident and lost his memory, he has a wife, kids. He needs to work on restoring his memories. Linda, as an old friend, can show some support and leave it at that. Joshua chuckled. You don't know, do you? Evan got divorced. After the accident, he got back in touch with Linda, and apparently he can't be away from her for a second. Can't be away for a second? I wanted to say something, but words wouldn't come. Don't worry, Linda's fine, Joshua added. She's just busy taking care of her childhood friend. Michael, are you okay? I hung up on Joshua and glanced at my phone. The last conversation was still when I reached out to him. Empty. I had sent Linda over 100 messages, 20 voice calls, and 29 regular calls in 3 days and 2 nights. No response. When I got desperate, she blocked me. I'd been restless, worrying for her, while she was just busy with her childhood sweetheart. Just 62 hours, it would take her mere seconds to let me know she's okay. But in those seconds, with her old flame around, she had none to spare for me. My heart felt hollow. The person who once meant everything to me felt like they vanished. When I got home, I punched in the entry code twice. It showed incorrect both times. As I was about to call the property manager, the door opened. A man in a bathrobe, slender and handsome, stood there. I knew it was Evan. I had seen his photos. Honestly, he didn't look as good in person as in those pics. He seemed surprised seeing me with my suitcase, travel-worn. Linda told me you wouldn't be back until the day after tomorrow, he said. Oh, sorry, when I was with Linda, the entry code was my birthday, he added. In the kitchen, the exhaust fan was roaring. Linda, in a bunny apron, was busy making soup. Her face darkened a bit when she noticed I'd returned. She wiped her hands and approached me. Michael, you're back? You should have given a heads up if you were coming early, she said, a hint of reproach in her voice. My heart sank a little more. Was she upset I came back early and interrupted her time with Evan? I pulled out my phone and showed it to her. Linda, I've called you 24 times, sent 109 messages, 29 regular calls. Did you block me? Is it my fault for not saying something sooner? Maybe I sounded off. And Linda's face didn't look good either. She seemed awkward. She opened her mouth, maybe wanting to explain, but all she managed to get out was, Michael, if I'm not answering the phone, it's for a reason. Why do you keep calling when there's no need? In that moment, I just snapped. The anxiety and unease of the past few days turned into pure anger, like vinegar igniting, sour and overwhelming, and quite unpleasant. Beside me, Evan chimed in with a tone like a green tea drinker. Linda, talk to Michael properly. Don't fight because of me. I gave Evan a harsh glare. What does our fight have to do with him? Linda started pulling my suitcase and said, It's no big deal if you're back. That rubbed me the wrong way. This place where I've lived for 2 years, this home, I've set it all up myself. How can she say it's no big deal if I'm back? Was I wrong to come back? But right now, I didn't want to argue with Linda, so I grabbed my shoes from the cabinet to change. That's when I noticed a bunch more men's shoes in the cabinet, maybe 27 or 28 pairs. The not-so-large shoe cabinet was packed tight. All kinds of styles, but none were mine. Sorry, I have too many shoes, so I took up a bit more space in the cabinet. Evan mentioned while pointing to a worn bag beside him. I put your shoes in the bag for now, he said, innocently smiling. If you had come back a couple of days later, Linda and I would have set up another shoe cabinet for yours. He added. I took the bag and bent down to find my slippers. But then, out of nowhere, a kid rammed into my back. I wasn't ready at all and stumbled, ending up on the floor in a very unflattering way, hurting so much my eyes watered. Naughty kid. The kid across from me, holding a water gun, shot black ink all over my face and body. The black water splashed all over my hair, my beige sweater, and even my alpaca coat that I hadn't had the chance to take off yet. I stifled my pain and reached out to grab the little brat. But Evan suddenly yelled, Don't touch my kid. He pulled the child protectively behind him, tears in his eyes. Michael, I'm sorry. The kid doesn't know better. Don't make a big deal out of it. The brat from behind Evan stuck out his tongue at me. Nye, nye, nye. Evan was quick to ask the little brat to apologize. Lucas apologized to the gentleman. Lucas spat on the ground at me. I'm not apologizing to a bad man. Saying that, he turned and ran off. I wiped the mess off my face, wondering what kind of decent family fills a kid's water gun with ink. Clearly, it was on purpose. As for my so-called perfect girlfriend, she's just standing in the kitchen, staring at the stove like she's catatonic. I suddenly found it funny. I looked at Evan and asked, Evan, did you just say I shouldn't take it out on the kid? Yeah. Evan smiled, all innocent. Michael, you're an adult. Why stoop to a kid's level? You're absolutely right. I chuckled. Evan, you're not a kid, are you? I asked with a grin. Then, without warning, I slapped him across the face. And then again backhanded. All the anxiety, the stress, it found an outlet. I grabbed his hair and slammed him against the wall. They say if you have amnesia, a few more knocks might get your memory back. My voice carried a hint of menace. Evan wailed, having always played the fragile pretty boy his whole life. He loved acting pitiful. But this wasn't an act. He's never been much of a fighter. I beat him until he cried, and that satisfied part of me. Linda, my girlfriend pretending to be a ghost in the kitchen, ran over to pull me away, consoling Evan tenderly. Watching them embrace each other, it hit me deep in my bones. Linda was such a joke. Back in the day, when Evan and she were deeply in love, for money and status, he ran to a rich lady's embrace. She once pleaded, kneeling in the rain, for him not to leave her. But he did, finally leaving her behind. 6 months later, she started chasing after me. At first, I didn't know about her past with Evan. But she was beautiful, presenting herself as classy and gentle. She portrayed herself as the caring and supportive partner. She was a great cook and respected my wishes. I once thought I was lucky to have found such a woman. My friends were envious too. But I never imagined that after Evan's supposed or real accident and memory loss, she'd changed so drastically. Her eyes no longer even saw me. Michael, apologize. After comforting Evan, Linda finally turned to me. Michael, I can't believe you're like this. How could you hit Evan? Apologize. I tried to push down my irritation. Well, actually, I wasn't that mad anymore. Seeing the red marks on Evan's face, the messy hair, him sobbing, it all just seemed like a joke to me. Linda, what if I don't apologize? I asked deliberately. When saying it, I glanced at Evan. I couldn't quite get why, with a supposed rich wife and a kid, accident or not, amnesia or not, why he'd find himself here with her, acting like this. Even with a clouded mind, the sight of the child should have been a reminder to keep away, unless Evan's marriage was in crisis. Linda probably never dreamt that I, who usually seemed mild-mannered, would refuse to apologize today. She got so red-faced, and after a long pause, she stammered, Michael, if you don't apologize, we're breaking up. Wow, this woman really has guts now, bringing her ex-boyfriend home. No clever retort after all that back and forth, just the threat of a breakup? Did she never consider that when she ignored my calls and texts just to hang with her ex, I might be the one to end it? I turned and started heading into the room to pack my things and leave. Letting go of the past can sometimes happen in an instant. Or maybe, the person I once held so dear died the moment Linda chose to be with her ex. But when I walked into the bedroom, I was furious all over again. All my clothes were trashed, scattered all over the balcony among the trash bins, buckets, and mops. Even some of my toiletries were in that mess. I was ready to pack up and leave, but seeing this mess, I stopped in my tracks. The word breakup didn't hold any meaning, once said. But just walking away like this makes me seem like a loser. If I'm not happy, why should I let Linda and Evan be? I yelled. Linda, care to explain this? She seemed a bit guilty, but women will never admit they're wrong. They'll just try to find fault in others. Michael, how long are you going to keep this up? Look at you, she said. Ever since you got back. Have you been calm for a second? You hit Evan, you won't apologize, and now this? If you hadn't shown up unannounced, I would have naturally fixed everything by tomorrow. Beside her, Evan, now with the face I slapped twice, whimpered, Linda, talk to Michael. Don't let us argue because of me. Then he hugged his little kid and cried, I'm cursed with bad luck, and with amnesia too. I remember nothing except you. Watching his dramatic act, I couldn't help but sneer. Evan, if you remember nothing, how come you remember that you have a kid? I said, smirking at the kid. Hearing me insult Lucas, Linda snapped, Michael, my patience with you has limits. You're really going too far. I scoffed. Getting so worked up over your kid? Linda flushed with anger but was too shaken to respond. I grabbed my big shears from where I trim plants and snipped a cashmere sweater in half. Without a word, I grabbed an LV bag, ready to cut it too. Evan dropped the act and lunged to snatch the bag from my hand, shouting, Michael, do you know how much this bag costs? If you cut it, can you pay for it? Laughing mockingly, I tore at another shirt, snipping while saying, Evan, you seem to misunderstand. This house is rented by me. I pay the rent every month. Meaning this is my room, my closet. My things I'll cut if I want to cut. You, as someone who illegally entered my room, shouldn't you consider paying for trespassing? Aren't the things in my closet mine? I gestured with the scissors, grinning manically at Evan. Linda didn't look pleased, and neither did Evan. Eventually, Evan had to move his stuff to the guest room under my pressure. Linda bustled about. When she finished, I called out, Linda, change the sheets. Her eyes cold, she replied, Michael, quit pushing it. Will you change them or not? I asked directly. She grabbed a blanket from the closet and slammed my bedroom door shut. Despite this drama, she suddenly hugged me tight, but all I smelled was mixed scents. Oil, smoke, Evan's cologne, and a sugary scent, altogether quite nauseating. Solving this with her body? I slapped her face, pointed at her and said, "Linda, don't let me despise you. What's up? 3 days and nights with your old flame and still unsatisfied. Don't let me see your disgusting face, or I'll be tempted to end you." I was acting like a jealous husband, intensely bitter. Linda thought the same, thinking I was just jealous and throwing a fit. So while packing, she said, "Michael, don't. Evan's really pitiful. Apologize to him later, okay? And when did you start cussing or reaching for scissors? Oh, and send me some cash later, like 10 grand will do for now." I sat on the window ledge watching her ramble. Hearing this, I finally asked, "What for?" Linda seemed annoyed, the veins on her hand standing out as if she clenched her fist. But she unclenched and kept making the bed. "Michael, you cut Evan's clothes, so you should compensate him, right? Plus, Lucas is pretty scared. After dinner, I'll take him out for a treat or something." And, at this part, Linda looked up at me, almost boasting. "I got accepted," she said proudly, her words dripping with smug satisfaction. "Michael, I finally landed that government job. Surprise, right? If it weren't for the stuff with Evan, and if everything was still like it used to be, I'd naturally be happy hearing she's got the job. It was a struggle, over 2 years of trying. She used my resources, even needed me to pay for classes. One of those courses cost $58,000, and she couldn't even stick with it. Now she's finally made it. That's good. But does she actually think just getting the job means she's in the clear? Has she forgotten there's more to this?" I smirked. This woman, who I supported all along just to see her make it, is still struggling and threatening me with a breakup? She probably noticed my smile and asked, "Michael, isn't your wife amazing?" "Yeah, amazing." I nodded seriously. "She is something, already trying to woo a married man before fully landing the job. All right, you should come out and have dinner soon and make sure to apologize properly to Evan." Saying that, she opened the door and left. I stayed at the bedroom door, listening to her gently calming Evan down. "Don't worry, Michael's just a bit stubborn. Evan, I talked to him, he'll apologize later. Just stay here comfortably." I heard Evan sniffle softly. While Linda prepared the meal, I texted Joshua, explaining everything. Joshua replied, "Michael, are you sure about this? There's no coming back from it. Do you really think there's anything to salvage between us?" I questioned him. Joshua sent a sigh emoji back. "All right, I'll help you." After sorting things out with Joshua, I messaged the landlord. "Owen, I'm thinking of not renewing the lease. Did you sell that little villa yet?" I asked. "Nope, still on the market," he replied instantly. "It's not a great time for selling homes. That villa's nice but a bit far," he added. I chuckled. "Are you free this afternoon to show it to me? I'm a screenwriter, and during the past pandemic, the film industry took a nosedive. I couldn't sell my scripts at all. Linda got laid off and we faced unemployment, struggling to pay rent, almost starving. Out of necessity, with a friend's suggestion, I started writing novels online. Unexpectedly, it became a hit. Linda went out job hunting, facing constant setbacks. She always said people looked down on her and played favorites. I tried to comfort her, but she couldn't hold down a job for more than 3 months before staying home, gaming and binge-watching shows. She kept the house tidy, cooked, and had a way with words. During that time, the house was always in order, and my friends would tell me how lucky I was even if she wasn't earning. Joshua used to joke, "You've got it good. At least your Linda keeps house. Mine just makes money." True, emotional support is valuable too. I didn't realize she was really someone who talked big but delivered little. Then, out of nowhere, she decided she wanted a government job. I ordered tons of materials for her online, and she shut herself in, studying hard. People said books weren't enough, she needed classes. So we splurged on those $58,000 classes. I was making my living writing novels. How much could I possibly earn? Rent in the city center was insanely high, especially for a privately rented, fully furnished place. I talked to Linda, explaining that since she was studying and I was writing, we weren't tied to this place. Why not save by moving to a cheaper place and buy our own home? Linda, however, refused to move out, stubbornly insisting on staying. I was initially upset, but that night, My editor told me my novel had gone viral. It was huge. The editor urged me to keep writing. So I continued writing, hoping for the best. Linda claimed there'd be more opportunities here in the city. Naively, I thought she meant job opportunities. Now I know she was talking about Evan, who lived close by. The rich heiress with a sprawling, 200-plus square meter apartment. I made up my mind already. I was done with this place. The landlord eagerly agreed to show the villa. At dinner, I wasn't sure what Linda discussed with Evan, but he ate quietly without a fuss. And that kid, staying far from me, definitely felt Evan had relationship issues. After all, nobody just takes 2 slaps and doesn't bolt, especially if they have options. I thought only a headache like Linda would see him as a prize. After we ate, Linda prepped to leave with Evan and Lucas. She even hollered for me to tidy up the kitchen. The nerve! Evan went to change in a room. There wasn't even a vanity table in the guest room, but in my master bedroom, I had my mirror and storage rack. When I saw him heading to my room again, my hands itched to stop him. Evan, I'm not your friend, and frankly, I don't like you. Don't you get it? Did your parents never teach you boundaries when visiting? Who told you it's okay to just wander into my room? Evan paused, eyes tearing up, looking sadly at Linda. I sneered. Evan, if you like this woman so much, why don't you leave your wife for her? At that, I looked right at Linda. With tensions flaring, Linda rushed over, pulling me aside, exclaiming, Michael, what's your problem? What's my problem? I feel like you can't just pick the soft persimmons. Since I already dealt with Evan, I couldn't ignore the rest. So I kicked Linda in the shin. I snapped, Linda, are you blind or something? Why are you bringing every idiot home? You got slapped twice and still sneak around my room? Can't you tell what's going on? Linda's face turned red and white from my words. As for Evan, I don't know if he genuinely doesn't know how to argue or if he's just used to acting like a nice guy. Somehow, he had the nerves to say, Michael, I'm sorry, don't be mad. When Linda and I were together, we never kept any boundaries. I replied coldly, you're talking about the past. If you don't care about boundaries now, are you still trying to make her happy? And why didn't you marry her back then? You looked down on her for not having money but still came to her for help. You can't have it both ways. This drama ended with me insisting Linda to dress up. She then went out arm in arm with Evan, taking Lucas with them, quite like a little family of 3. After they left, I also went out with the landlord. His villa isn't big, just a 3-story building, but it has a large yard. He had it landscaped with some trendy plants, and there's a huge persimmon tree at the entrance. It was remodeled 2 years ago, originally for his daughter's wedding. The landlord laughed. She bought a place in M-City. This one is just sitting idle, so I'm planning to sell it. When he mentioned his daughter and son-in-law, his face beamed with happiness. I was really satisfied with the house. I was on this business trip for a website platform event. The editor-in-chief mentioned that a film company was interested in my novel and wanted to discuss the rights and meet me. Signing the rights agreement with the website and the film company was thrilling and exciting. I urgently called Linda to share this great news, but she didn't answer. Over 2 days and 3 nights, I called 3 times and sent 109 messages asking if she was safe. She ignored them all. When I got back, I realized she wasn't meant to share any part of my life anymore. I paid the deposit for the house and asked the landlord for a favor. The deal was settled. As soon as I got everything squared away, Linda texted me asking for money. She was now totally unashamed and demanding about it. I replied, this month's royalties haven't been paid out yet. If you need money urgently, just use your credit services. She called saying her limit was low and many places don't accept that kind of payment. Figure out a way, I chuckled. Michael, you didn't used to be like this, she said. Yeah, I wasn't like this before. Whether you're a man or a woman, you get into a relationship hoping to grow old together. Maybe not always hand in hand, but at least supporting each other, taking responsibility. Then she asked, Michael, didn't you save some money? Where'd you hear that? With our expenses, which you know, and you haven't brought in a dime in over 2 years. Rent, utilities, and you still insist on branded clothes. Linda, you can't expect a man to take care of you forever, can you? I hit a sore spot and Linda hung up. Then she sent a message. Michael, you're just impossible. I didn't reply. Over the next few days, Linda and Evan were inseparable. She got several credit cards and loans to spend on shows and outings with her first love. To them, it was like I didn't exist. At home, I'd catch them wrapped up in each other's arms on the balcony, kissing. One night, I accidentally walked in on them getting cozy on the sofa, lost in each other's world. Meanwhile, I discreetly moved my things out while they were caught up in their passion. I removed every trace of myself from her life. 3 days after moving into my little villa, Linda called me. The lease was ending, and the landlord was taking back the apartment. Over the phone, Linda asked, Michael, where did you go? I moved out. I laughed lightly, leaning against my window. The fiery red maple leaves outside were stunning. Next door, someone had orange trees, and despite the cold, their leaves stayed vibrant, dotted with ripe oranges, looking beautiful. In my yard, the persimmon tree was full of ripe fruit. With no one living there before, no one had picked them. Now, the leaves had fallen, and the persimmons stood out like little red lanterns on the branches, like a picture from a New Year's poster. Life's pretty good like this. When did you move out? Where did you go? Why didn't you tell me or discuss it? By the way, can you pay the rent here? I laughed freely. Linda, where I move has nothing to do with you. With that, I hung up and promptly blocked her. Evan, meanwhile, had lost his memory but remembered only her. So he, along with Lucas, clung to her. Linda treated him just like in the past. They fell in love and stayed that way, as if I never existed in their timeline. Since that's how it is, I graciously stepped aside for them. I disappeared from Linda's life, taking away every piece of me. I could selectively recall everything, but chose to forget her. She didn't deserve a place in my memory. 3 days later, Linda became famous. A scandalous little video of her was trending everywhere online. Owen called me, gossiping wildly. Michael, who knew Linda, always so well behaved, could be such a wild thing. Owen told me that Evan's actually going through a divorce with his wife. That whole car crash amnesia thing was just an excuse Linda cooked up to fool me. Imagine my surprise when I found out that Evan's wife, who's this wealthy heiress, is actually a distant relative of Owen's family, even though the families don't really keep in touch. Owen did a little digging for me, and it turns out his distant niece got majorly cheated on by Evan. So that night, Owen handed Vera a spare key. She barged in with some people and caught Linda and Evan in bed together, completely naked. They gave the two of them quite the beating, took some pictures and videos, then posted them online. It went viral. While Linda was busy trying to pass her public service exams, someone reported her hooking up with a married man and getting caught by his wife. She almost made it to trending news. Eventually, her spot was revoked and the second in line got it instead. Linda was stunned. And socially, she was totally exposed. People pointed and laughed at her wherever she went. Meanwhile, Vera's divorce case with Evan went to court. Talking about Vera's background, Evan was way out of his league. Unfortunately, when Vera was about 17 or 18, she got rebellious, went racing, and lost a leg in an accident. Modern medicine helped her get a prosthetic leg, and she can walk just fine. But it definitely affected her prospects, family-wise. In the beginning, Evan used all his charm, played the innocent act perfectly, and managed to snag Vera, marrying into her wealthy family. But then he realized they just wanted him for his genes. They provided for him, paid him a monthly salary, but wouldn't let him meddle in anything else. After Vera gave birth to Lucas, Evan thought he'd finally made it, acting up and demanding control over the family finances. Vera's mom was willing to guide him, but within months, several shady incidents occurred. Evan embezzled funds to buy watches and fancy cars and even took a promissory note to give his sister a house. The real kicker? He was out partying with rich dudes at clubs. Vera wasn't dumb, she filed for divorce. Evan wouldn't agree to a divorce, hoping to split Vera's assets. So he used their son as leverage. If Vera wanted a divorce, he claimed he'd take Lucas. Of course, Vera wasn't having any of it. They registered at the civil affairs office and were in a cooling-off period. Evan anxiously looked for his next gig, realizing the guys at clubs just wanted his money. But Linda, the old flame, was still someone he could manipulate. So he moved in with Lucas to Linda's place. For some crazy reason, maybe from reading too many novels, Evan genuinely thought Vera loved him to death. He figured her jealousy over his clubbing sprees was making her crazy. Disappearing for a bit was sure to trigger a dramatic reconciliation. Evan looked down on Vera for losing a leg, but he despised Linda's financial struggles even more. Still, if messing around with Linda annoyed me, he was all in. He believed he was charming enough to make Vera long for him and keep Linda under his thumb. In the end, Evan lost the court case and left with nothing. Vera gained custody of Lucas, quickly sending him overseas. Only then did Evan realize he had absolutely nothing left. His family, his sister's marriage talks went south because of the scandal with Linda. Her prospective in-laws hesitated about marrying into a family with a brother like Evan. Their mom yelled at him and kicked him out. Linda's dreams of a public service leadership role were toast. Without rent money, she got evicted too. Worse, her credit card and payday loans were overdue. Wanting to keep face, she didn't want anyone to find out or become a credit-unworthy person. Then she thought of me again. Since I'd blocked her that day, she had tried calling me using Evan's phone. I blocked that too. But she found me through some mutual contacts. I watched her stand outside my gate, dragging a suitcase, clothes all wrinkled and hair greasy. As soon as she saw me, Linda lunged at the gate, screaming, "Michael, open the door. You bought a house behind my back? You said you had no money. Is my name on it? If not, add it now. Who let you make these decisions without me?" I just stood there, silent, as she anxiously blurted out, "Oh, and pay off my credit card debt." She held her phone up to the gate, showing me a payment QR code. I calmly asked, "Who are you? Are beggars so bold now? No cash, only QR payments?" Linda stared at me, dumbfounded, then started ranting. I smirked. "Linda, are you seriously clueless or just pretending? With your current situation, why would I want you? You used to offer some emotional value. Now that's gone too. Evan got to you, didn't he?" Evan thought Vera, with her prosthetic leg, was lucky to have him, desperate for his love. He took off with the kid, hoping for a dramatic reconciliation. Novels always end that way. Instead, he lost everything in the divorce. Originally, Linda seemed like a normal person, just a bit of a dreamer who didn't follow through. She worked hard and actually passed the civil service exam. But when she ran into Evan again, her old love, her first love she never had, became a big deal in her mind. She listened to Evan's persuasion and cut off all communication with me. She started using PUA tactics on me, trying to manipulate me. Then she wanted me to grovel at her feet. After she got with Evan and passed her exam, her confidence turned into arrogance. She thought she was one of a kind. I'll never forgive her. After all, even Evan didn't want to give her up, or so I gathered from how she talked. It's laughable. "Linda, I dumped you like the garbage you are. Evan has amnesia, remembers nothing, but for some reason, he remembers you. It's all part of a script you cooked up. As for me, I remember everything, but I choose to forget you because you're not worth remembering. Get lost. Don't make me call security." She tried to stick around, so I pulled out my phone and started recording her, telling her if she didn't leave, I'd post it on social media. She left, dragging her suitcase like a stray dog. Over the next few days, she still wouldn't give up. She'd catch me on my way out, trying to sweet-talk me. It made my skin crawl. Finally, I called the police. They picked her up and gave her a talking to, but she kept insisting we were in a relationship. So, I showed the cops a video of her and Evan fooling around. Even the police were amazed there was someone so shameless. I figured once this door was closed, Linda would find a job, settle down, and start paying off her debts. She had a decent college degree, but nope, she went back to harassing Evan. Evan acted fast and married a 60-year-old woman, then went abroad for their honeymoon. Not only that, but Evan also humiliated her, saying he'd rather marry a dog than someone as useless as her. Linda was crushed. She spiraled, gambling, drinking, even selling herself. She borrowed money from everyone she could in our shared social circles. Since we were college classmates, I still saw what she was up to on social media. Later, I heard she got sick, stomach cancer, and needed surgery. Her mom sold their family home to pay for it. But soon after the surgery, she went back to her old ways, heavy drinking and partying. 2 years later, the TV show based on my novel was a hit. Meanwhile, she passed away in a cold winter. Before she died, she desperately tried to get in touch with me, but I refused. She faded from my memory. In Taoism, there's a concept of cutting ties with the past emotions to start anew. She was my past burden to cut off. Sometimes Owen, my landlord, chats with me. He has a cute little granddaughter now. Sometimes he argues with his son-in-law, but they make up quickly. One time he mentioned Evan. Apparently, Evan never returned from that honeymoon abroad. Later, when the authorities were cracking down on international crime, they caught the older woman. She admitted she sold him to a black market organ ring. I was shocked. They had a good life but chose to ruin it. Of course, none of that has anything to do with me. I'm focusing on writing my next book. After all, making money is the only thing that matters.